When we are young, anything seems possible. Children are visionaries with the solutions to end world hunger and with the solutions to end war. They see it so simple and yet manage to find the exact solutions that adults struggle to see. To end world hunger, we need to feed people. To end war, we need to stop shooting each other. Now, picture yourself in a large conference room with a long rectangular table filled with coffee and sweets. On the wall, a clock is ticking, making itself known every second as the hands move. Around the table, 11 politicians are seated. 11 adult politicians, and you. I vividly remember the first ever meeting I attended with the provincial council. Well, I would like to act as if it was this heroic moment. In fact, I was terrified. I was so scared to say something wrong because I was feeling this sense of responsibility. I wanted to make sure that I was going to represent us, my generation, our voices, loudly enough. My first ever meeting with the provincial council was about education, a matter that felt so close to me as a student, and I truly thought that my input would be valuable. I remember breathing out, relieved that I was going to be able to contribute to the discussion. Before speaking, I ran through what I was going to say in my head very, very carefully. And eventually, I proposed a reform that was based on student opinions that I had accumulated through discussions with my peers. I nervously tried to read the faces of the people in the room. Silence followed. Eventually, the politicians broke into laughter and shook their heads. Amalia, when you grow up, you will know better, they said. With one sentence, they had made me so small. The rest of the meeting, I sat in silence. This very meeting marked me changing my approach to party politics. The adults thought that I was too idealist, so I became more moderate. I adapted to what I thought that the adults would respect and what they would take seriously, and it worked. My childhood wish to end world hunger and to end war transformed into discussing tax rates and party charters. I had officially become a politician. And the more time I spent within the party, the more similar my register, my opinions, and my proposals became to the ones of the adults. I started to value economic efficiency and growth above anything. And one of the things that I was advocating vigorously and loudly against was the implementation of taxes on plastic bags in Sweden. I argued that it was not the responsibility of Swedish taxpayers, because that kind of opinion worked within the party and it worked within the adults. It was respected. It was a respected opinion until I moved across the world into a tight-knit community where people believe that they can change the world. Into a community where people ask you to expand on your ideas instead of laugh at them when they can't comprehend them. Pearson College UWC. The first time I felt myself changing was last year in February, I believe, when we were talking about plastic bags, but this time in marine science. I learned about the Great Pacific Garbage Gyre and about landfills. Because up until this point, I was not aware that garbage could not be recycled. Because all I ever had learned was that we were great at dealing with it in Sweden. I could, in fact, not comprehend that we're just burning it, releasing the methane and the carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere without dealing with the problem. I felt so dumb for not realizing that what I once had advocated for was in direct opposition to what I believed to be right. This is when it struck me. Our current political system is broken. I am 18 years old and a retired party politician, but I never stopped believing in my ability to change the world. I never stopped believing in our ability as humanity to end world hunger, and I never stopped believing in our ability to end war. My values never changed. Yet, my approach did. I advocated against taxes on plastic bags when all I want for us is to preserve this earth for future generations. I completely changed my views because when you enter party politics as a young person without being educated enough, it is very difficult to stand up for yourself. And when you're told over and over that you're not competent enough, somewhere you start to believe in it. My views became the ones of the party. I voiced the party line as if it was my own. And only then could I speak without having my age brought up. Either you follow or you're made unseen. And this is the problem of our current political system. Only by losing my voice could I be heard. When I first entered party politics, what I wanted to bring in was this sense of idealism, because I truly believe that we have the capacity to do better. And I think this is something that comes very naturally for most young adults and children. We have it ingrained in us. And it's becoming more important than ever that this is being highlighted, because idealism sparks innovation. It sparks change and it sparks enthusiasm, which is needed more than ever, especially when we're dealing with our most urgent issue, climate change. I think a very large part of the inability of our politicians to let young people on the stage in party politics is rooted in a multitude of different factors. Most prominently, the fact that they are operating through short-term solutions. Because after all, it's not the idealist 20-year plans with the painful but necessary reforms to save the climate that wins you elections. Our politicians are acting through short-term solutions, measuring their political success through economic growth and efficiency, completely disregarding youth. And to be frank, they completely lack the incentive to turn things around, because they're not the ones dealing with climate anxiety. They're not the ones having to question if it's moral of them to have a child, because what if the earth won't be safe for them to grow up on? My generation are the ones with the incentive to turn things around. And if you still are not convinced, because maybe you're an adult, or a young party politician, as I once was, believing that age is a necessity to make a sensible contribution to party politics, let me show you this statistic. 3 out of 10 Swedes are not aware of what the responsibilities of the European Parliament is. The European Parliament, whose legislation goes above Swedish law. This means that 7 out of 10 Swedes are not able to contribute to change because they do not understand the system. When young people understand the system and they understand policies, they're able to demand change. They're able to demand pressure onto our politicians because they understand how political reforms may affect them. An accumulation of political knowledge is not a product of age. The lack of is a result of our schooling. I want to see political science courses taught throughout high school. I want us to have I want to see experiential political education is taught as early as in middle school. I want someone to teach all of these young people how to bring attention to matters that they care about, maybe through writing in newspapers or going out on the streets protesting or getting involved politically. But most importantly, someone needs to tell all of these youth that their right to be heard does not only start when you turn 18 and can vote. It was always there. Mark my words, a political education will be pivotal. Because when young people know how the system works, and when they know that they do not need to change their views the same way I once did to be legitimate, we'll have the incentive to turn things around. Together, youth are powerful. They have the ability to make change. The clock is ticking for the climate. The clock is ticking for society. The clock is ticking for my generation. So how come we do not have a voice where decisions are being made? Thank you.